Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Intriguing chat today, as always, around the future of customer experience, leveraging AI and so many advanced technologies with a true expert in the field, Sharpen. Charlie, how are you?
Very good. Evan, it's good to see you again. Thank you for having me today.
Well, thanks for being here. We had a great touch base in Enterprise Connect, which seems like months
Yeah,
ago. It was just a couple of months back. And I was so intrigued by your vision and mission at Sharpen. Maybe take us on the journey that you've been on as CEO at Sharpen.
yeah,
How do you describe that vision and mission around CX these days?
yeah. Look, our vision is very simple at Sharpen. It's just a few words. It's contact centers people love. Now, whenever I say that to anyone, no one disagrees. No one says we've solved that. There's this amazing experience, problem solved. Everyone agrees this is a thing still to be solved. Whether it's you're the CFO of an organization, you're the customer contacting a organization, you're an agent working it. It's pretty unanimously a disliked part of a business. And we think that should change. It should be the front and center of a way that a company ultimately communicates with a customer, and a customer communicates with a business that they've chosen to spend their money with. So I joined Sharpen a year ago. My background is a little bit of unified communications with a company called Fuse. I've known the contact center space for a while. And then 4 years before Sharpen, I was running a machine learning company in the mortgage processing and insurance claims processing space. And that was sort of grounds up machine learning technology. I joined Sharpen purely because of this vision. There is no space out there, Evan, that is more ripe for disruption from AI than the contact center space. And also, there's no space that is as large as contact center and yet so poorly served. So I think it's a super interesting space to be. We set the vision formally right at the beginning of this year, although it was in the works from really the day I joined. And we think at Sharpen that agents are key to that. And that's been the history of Sharpen. And I was excited about them putting agents above any other part of the business and seeing that as a route to the solution.
Well, it's certainly a big challenge and opportunity you've taken on. And what are the hurdles, the challenges, the roadblocks that you're facing in
Yes.
this goal to revolutionize customer experience, agent experience, and more?
Yeah. Changing any industry you're presented with a lot of challenges. There's no doubt about that. I really see two here as the biggest ones we face every day. The first is the balance between innovation and stability or reliability or compliance, however you want to think about that. The sort of go-to model for innovation is young, agile startups like a Sharpen, innovate very rapidly, put stuff out there. Maybe it fails, maybe it works really well, and people sort of like that fast iteration. And then if you want something far more stable, you go with a company like an IBM or a Microsoft, and you don't quite get the cutting edge, but you get something that always works. And that trade-off doesn't really work in the contact center for two reasons. Firstly, the software is customer facing. And that's not usually true for sort of highly innovative areas. And customers have a low tolerance. We've already said that contact centers are bad. They have a low tolerance for sort of bad experience, even worse experiences. And then the second thing is if you take someone's contact center down for even 7 minutes, you're sort of shuttering their business or a key part of their business. So at Sharpen, we're trying to balance innovation moving forward. There's so much to be done here with also just giving an insanely reliable and compliance friendly piece of software. And that's a challenge every day, but it's something we put at the center of the business. And then the second one, and it sort of speaks to the fact that what I said first with our vision, that no one disagrees that contact centers are not loved. The second is there's just a bit of an expectation that they're awful. So when we get into conversations with customers, often they're looking at how do I take out as much cost? How do I minimize the need for this? And we think that's the wrong approach. So we try to change that conversation for how do we increase revenue? How do we increase customer satisfaction? How do we put the agents at the front and center of your business? And businesses that skew towards that are more interesting for us as customers, and we serve them much better than someone that's just trying to sort of rip out costs.
Well said. Nice approach. And you have a background in machine learning and AI, and
Yes.
clearly we're at the bleeding edge there. So, get into some of the tactics and technologies for leveraging AI and automation to improve not just agent performance, but customer satisfaction and so much more. What
Yeah.
is your practical approach today, and how do you see this evolving?
Yeah. I describe myself as incredibly bullish and incredibly bearish on AI all at the same time. I think the future is AI. I think that it's going to change the way we do absolutely everything. I think of it as sort of we're going through the internet revolution of the 1990s right now with AI, and it's going to radically change everything we do. But at the same time, it's not there in doing absolutely everything out of the box yet today. And I'm excited for that to change, but that's where we are today. So at Sharpen, we use a phrase called usable AI. And the idea there is it needs to be fast time to value. So you need to be able to roll something out very quickly. This isn't a time for science experiments. There's such good technology out there. Go and do the low hanging fruit because there's just a lot of value there. The second is it needs to have an overlap of a valuable use case in the market and where the technology is today. And then the third is it needs to be compliance friendly. And this leads us to skew towards making agents a lot more effective. And the way we do that, so Sharpen serves both self-service, routing to an agent, and then the actual interface that an agent looks at as they take an interaction. The first step of that is getting the mundane off. We have a chatbot there. If you want to check your balance or you want to activate your card, that sort of stuff should be done with a chatbot. And that can be done very well. And you can put generative AI in there or you can not put generative AI in there, but smart technology gets the mundane work off of an agent. The second is routing. We have something there called the Customer 360 bot, where we look at what's the problem this person's experiencing before they get to an agent. How frustrated are they? What language do they speak? All this sort of stuff. And then you're routing to the right agent as a result. And then the last area that we're really excited about is just making agents, when they take the call, a lot more effective. So I'll give you a few examples there. We have about 8 pieces of AI working there in different ways, but just a few examples there. The first is what we call summary of summaries. So this is context. This is everything that's happened in the last, let's say, 7 days. That's a good period of time. They've called in 3 times. It's typically been this issue. They were angry last time. Just a very quick snippet that is presented up to the agent, summarized through generative AI that allows the agent to take that interaction substantially more effectively. Second is we have something called Sidekick bot that as things are happening during the interaction, things are being presented to the agent or to supervisors if needed, come and join this interaction to make that more effective. And then the last thing is just when you're done with a call, that wasted time of writing your own summary, we think that should go away entirely. And we encourage our customers to let AI do that entirely and just move on. So that's sort of how we're thinking about it. Usable AI, agent first.
Brilliant. And so you're riding on top of, several mega trends, including LLMs. Where do you think we'll be in 3 to 5 years? Do you think we'll have really magical experiences? Will we love customer support again?
So look, the big 3 trends out there right now are, and it's in this order of maturity, is move to cloud. We're still not there yet, but that's happening. Is digital. And we're seeing our customer base voice move from about 100% to about 50% and then really plateau out there. So we still see voice as the most important, but other forms of communication, web chat, texting, emails, that sort of thing are really becoming a way that people want to interact with businesses. And then obviously AI. And those trends are going to continue. The future of the contact center is, I'll give you an example that I would love to see. But this is how I'm seeing it. I'm just seeing a rapid interaction between a customer and the companies they choose to spend money with. So the example I like to give is you're working with an insurance company, you go and buy a bike, you text your preferred insurance vendor a picture of the bike and you say, I've just bought this, can you insure me? A chatbot that seems like a real person, but everyone knows it's a chatbot, including the customer, sends back, if it's very easy, sends back a little link, says, press this, $2 a month, nice bike, have a great time. If it's really difficult, maybe they live in a zip code that is more likely to have bike theft, or they've got a bike that insurance company hasn't seen before. It says, great bike, congratulations, do you mind if I put you through to ABC? to answer a couple of questions. They go through to a real person, and maybe a minute or 2 minutes later, they have that same thing but at a slightly higher price. And I think that kind of interaction, just passing off machine and human very seamlessly, and having that collaboration layer is the future. I don't think for a while that there's no agents in the contact center. And the example I like to give here is there was an equivalent step forward in AI with cancer or disease detection about 10 years ago. And every analyst then would tell you, in 10 years' time, radiologists won't exist. There's now more radiologists in the US than there were 10 years ago. And the sort of reason for that is just so much work to be done. And AI does an amazing part of some part of that. You want your screens viewed by an AI and not by a person. But then ultimately, there's steps around that still need to be done by a person. And that's what I see with the contact center. There's more contact center agents in the US today than there was a year ago when generative AI came out. And so I still see agents as essential, but I just think we're going to have a much, much better experience. And that sort of endless need to communicate is more fulfilled.
Well said. So you talk about omni-channel. We've been talking omni-channel in the contact center for, over a decade. But how do we make it more seamless and effortless for the consumer? We've all, tried to switch to call, to chat, to other, to a direct message, and it's pretty disjointed. Where do you think about omni-channel going over the next couple years?
Well, look, Evan, I think you've answered the question there. Exactly how I think about it is it's disjointed. It's always been seen by the Avayas, the Genesis, the NICEs of the world as an add-on. And so they've built their core technology and then they add on a texting capability. And then that sort of move between the different types of interactions is very tough. So an agent handling a text is different typically than an agent handling a voice interaction. They have different agents. This isn't always the case, but they often do. And those agents don't have live data on what's happening in other setups. So what you need one system that has that same shared information and shared context. At Sharpen, that's the way we've been built. We were built sort of digital first. And so an agent live on a call in Sharpen can switch to email or text messages or do that simultaneously, because sometimes you want to send some information by text while still being on an interaction. But I think it's a grounds up change in the sort of the way code is built. And I think this is what puts younger startups in an advantageous position, because they don't have that legacy code that they have to build add-ons to, if that makes sense. So I view this as one of our, there are strengths and there are challenges, and this is one of the strengths we have.
Well, here's to success there. It's no secret that, being a contact center agent can be a pretty thankless job. There's a lot of turnover, churn, and morale issues and all kinds of challenges. You have to look at just the turnover rates to see that. How do you see, yourself empowering those agents, training, development, technology, and other tools to, support them as well as the customers?
Yeah, look, agent attrition is a real problem in the industry, and we hope to be part of the solution there. I said earlier with the vision that agents also hate the contact center. Attrition rates, everyone will give you different estimates. The estimates fall anywhere in the 25% on the low end to 50%. That means that people are changing jobs every two years. It can get worse than that in some industries. Now, some of that's by design. You have peaks and valleys, but also a lot of it is just agents don't like their roles. The solution here, in my mind, is really ease of use. And the analogy that I like to give here is everyone says we're going to go through a massive upskilling wave with AI. And I entirely disagree. I think that good software should do all of the upskilling itself. I'd like to give the internet as an example here. We didn't go through a massive upskilling with the internet. There are very, very few people in the world that know how the internet works, that know how all of the sort of fundamental parts of the internet actually work. It's an insanely small number. There's then a slightly larger number that know how to build on top of that. These are your real coders that are building software, the engineers, And then there's another group that build on top of what they build. This is people that do drag and drop websites or like build applications without actually understanding how to code. And then the vast majority of us, 99% of internet users, are using the internet every single day without even thinking about how the fabric of the internet works. We get on a call, we get on a video, we send emails, we visit a website, spend money on Amazon, whatever it is. We didn't really require much upskilling. It became very, very easy to use. And that's when you saw the explosion of the internet, when it went from being something you had to be an expert in to something that was just so easy to use. And that's what we owe. Any vendor, any software engineer owes their customers when it comes to AI. You don't need to be an AI expert to have a bot pop up and say, they just said this product, here's some information on this product so you can speak fluently on it, or here's a summary of summary. Your life just gets substantially easier and you become more effective. So that's what we prioritize, ease of use. And to give you an example here, one of our largest customers is a gift card company called Blackhawk. They have these peaks and valleys I spoke about earlier, Evan, and they onboard agents that have never seen Sharpen before, never worked at Blackhawk before in 4 hours. So they go from knowing nothing about the product they're serving, nothing about the software they're using, to being a fully functional agent in 4 hours. And that's only done by making the software extremely easy to use.
Well done. We definitely have a need for more personalization in this industry. When I call my, phone provider, cable provider, it's almost like every interaction is a brand new session. They have no idea who I am,
Yes.
why I'm calling, my history. First of all, why is that? And do you have any insights into how we can have more personalized experiences? They know me, they know my history, perhaps can predict why I'm calling.
Yeah, totally. Look, that's the future of the contact center, and we spoke a little bit about it in different ways today. I think part of the problem is just this. I started with this, Evan, that people are used to the contact center just being a bad experience. They tolerate high agent attrition. They tolerate they expect that customer service is just going to be bad, so they rip out as much cost as possible. I think it's really just about giving agents the access to the data they need. So a good customer for Sharpen is one where the contact center is viewed as essential. Credit unions are about 8% of our business. And in credit unions, you might have a 500-person organization, but 100 people of those are sitting in the contact center. And in some instances, they're doing things as sort of value adders, loan origination, and other things like that. Like they really are in some credit unions elevated. We see about a 20% increase in CSAT for credit unions on average, just under that on average. And that's by presenting agents with the information they need to take an interaction. Those agents have far lower churn. In some instances, they've been with their organizations for 5-10 years. And another example of this is the Dallas Mavericks are a customer. I always like mentioning that one because it's sort of a fun brand to be working with. But there, the agents are doing outbound instead of inbound, and they're working with season ticket holders. And again, that is an elevated experience where they need that context before, and the software, Sharpen software, gives them access to that as they're going to call somebody. They have a window that pops up with all the information they need. So I think it's just about getting that information to agents and treating those agents as a bit more important versus just people that can be like hired and fired.
Yeah, well said. Lots of talk here about data, but what data do you measure and use, and how do you think about measuring success in customer experience? What are the metrics that you use to monitor, to measure so many different things you can focus on? What do you think are the top few?
Yeah, so we, during the sales cycle, during the implementation cycle, and then during our quarterly business reviews, we have a list of metrics that we work with customers on. So we always know what is important to our customer. The absolute dream is we're able to tie it to a strategic business initiative at the CEO level. So that might be that they're trying to beat a certain competitor. It might be that they're trying to strip out a bunch of costs. It might be they're trying to increase revenue. And then as you go down, we try to link it to the actual OKRs or whatever people are managing to on their day-to-day. So we, I mentioned Blackhawk earlier, we took out about $2.2 million of costs there. But we were able to work with the organization to take down other sort of metrics that rolled up in that, from average handling time to containment rates. And then the really difficult one to measure, but we're trying to increasingly do it, is CSAT and is customer satisfaction levels. And that's been a hard one to track, because customers want to get off of that interaction as quick as they can. But I think as they have an elevated experience, they're a bit more happy reporting on that.
Nice, excellent. Speaking of customer centricity, maybe talk about the culture within Sharpen that you're building and nurturing and growing. Any insights into the team and the direction you're going? Advice perhaps to folks who are building a customer centric organization?
Yeah. We try to, as I mentioned on the last question, we try to put customers' business at the center of what we're doing. No one wants to buy a piece of software. No one wants to even buy AI. They want to buy a solution to a problem, or a way of seizing an opportunity. And I think that reorienting any company to put that the front and center of why you're doing any given thing is essential. The other thing I'd say, which is a motivating thing for engineers, is engineers want their code to be used. Want their code to be used. They don't just want to write sort of a super cool piece of code. They want it out there actually in the wild being used. And so if you put customer uses at the front and center, you tend to get a better outcome there. We do something at Sharpen which is called the Quarterly Product Summit. This happens every 3 months, as the name would suggest. And there we take about 10 different inputs into our roadmap, and then we all agree as a roadmap, but the whole company is represented there in different ways. We agree on a roadmap, and then we go and create that. We do that every 3 months. But those inputs are a customer advisory board is an example of one input. They're also, so that's the sort of voice of the customer. They're what the sales team's hearing. They're what the customer experience team who's doing the implementation is actually hearing. We work with a few customers, a very small amount, because we have to sort of prioritize the right type of innovation. But we work with a few customers on building beta products together. And that's the sort of customer centric. But then also you have to overlay that with, we are trying to be thought leaders in this space. So then you have to listen to the engineers, like, what's the cutting edge technology? How could that be applied? And so we get in a room, we hash all of that out. It takes about a month to prepare for that conversation. We agree on the roadmap, and then we go and build it. But it's sort of a bit of a combination of listening to customers, seeing customers, and also trying to be a thought leader in the space. You need to have that balance.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like an exciting time at Sharpen. Heading into the summer months, what are you looking forward to over the next couple of months? Any travel or events, trips, or otherwise on the radar?
Yeah, on the Sharpen side, we try to get in front of customers as much as possible. So we're doing quarterly business views out there. I was in with one of our customers in San Jose a couple of weeks ago, which is always one of my favorite places in the world. It's got the best infrastructure and some of the most sort of beautiful lifestyle in the world. So I love that. So I'm always out visiting customers and prospects. I don't have any trade shows coming up, which is obviously where you and I met. And then on the personal front, I grew up in the UK. Obviously, I don't hide that too well. I've been in the US for about 16 years now. But I'm going to do 2 weeks at the end of August in the UK, which will be lovely.
It should be. Well, hit or miss. I lived in the UK for 10 years, and you never know. Those summers could be
the weather's
beautiful or wet and rainy. So good luck with that. Congrats on all the success, Charlie. Onwards and upwards, and look forward to keeping in touch.
Awesome. Thank you for the time today, Evan. I really appreciate it, and I had fun.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for watching. Reach out to Sharpen with any questions or comments, and thanks for sharing as always. Take care.